Alright, Warner Brothers and DC, it's time to see if the big cheese can give you guys another win. What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm one of your hosts, as always, C-Dubs, and as you can see, I'm riding solo on this video. And folks, me and the wife just got out of the movies. We just got home, and we saw Shazam. That's right, the latest installment to the DCEU, Worlds of DC, maybe, sorta, I don't know anymore with this movie franchise, but we just got done seeing it, and I'm gonna break it down for you guys, give you the good, the bad, and the badass. We may be late to the party because everybody seems to have already seen this movie and review it, so if you're sticking around for the review, guys, thank you so much. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, guys. Shazam, the story of a young boy who makes a wish on an old Zoltar fortune-telling machine and wakes up the next morning as a full-grown adult and hijinks ensue. No, that wasn't the movie I saw. Shazam, the story of creatures that attack during Christmas time, causing mayhem and destruction everywhere they went. No, that was not the movie I saw either. Shazam, the story of Billy Batson, a young, streetwise foster child who is true of heart, okay, who finds and stumbles upon the great wizard Shazam and is endowed with the powers of the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury, becoming the mightiest mortal known to man, known simply as Captain Marvel. Who cares about what Marvel thinks about that? Shazam.
Billy Batson, I choose you. Say my name so my powers will become yours. Shazam.
Are you for real?
Say okay! Say my name.
Shazam!
2019's Shazam is the latest installment in Warner Brothers and DC's extended universe, or better known as the Worlds of DC is what I think they're going by nowadays. I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. This movie is directed by David F. Sandberg, who is best known for his movie Lights Out and Annabelle Creation. This movie is also starring Zachary Levi as Captain Marvel, as us true comic book fans know him to be. Also known now to the normies out there, Shazam. This is also starring Asher Angel, who plays the young Billy Batson. Jack Dylan Grazer from It, if you will. He plays Freddie Freeman. We have Mark Strong as Dr. Savannah himself. And John Glover makes an actual appearance in this film as well. He plays Savannah Sr. Now, what's so awesome with the fact that John Glover is in this, let me just go ahead and say this, is that I'm going to do this as spoiler-free as possible, guys, but he plays Savannah's father, and what is so cool is that we all know him from, of course, the father of Lex Luthor from Smallville. It was just so awesome to see him. Not to mention, he is actually from also, the first time I ever seen him was in Gremlins 2, and he kind of played almost the same character. This, billionaire that owns this company and is all about family and freedom and things like that. It was just really funny to see. It was very, so in that same vein, and I love that part of the movie. I just want to put that out there. When you finally see it, if you haven't already, and you've seen Gremlins 2, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You even get an elevator scene with a monitor playing this wonderful family-oriented America, and it's just so great. I loved it. All right.
Because of the end of civilization, the Clamp Cable Network now leaves the air. We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Alright, that's the only spoiler I'm going to give you guys, and it absolutely was nothing. It was just a little Easter egg, I think. Speaking of Easter eggs, Annabelle is also in this, and guys, if you've seen the movie, in the comments below, tell me where you think you've seen her. as well as, if you haven't, when you do see it, come back and let us know as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into this. So, if you know Billy Batson and you know Shazam, you already know the story, essentially. Billy Batson is a young, streetwise orphan who was, unfortunately, does not have a family to call his own. And when he finally finds that family, at first he has a hard time taking to them until he is actually stumbles upon, after proving with great courage to stand up for his foster brother, ends up in the Rock of Eternity in front of the great wizard Shazam, and he is endowed with the powers to become the Earth's mightiest mortal, if you will, granted with the powers of Shazam himself. Now, what makes this movie so great, okay, starting off with the good, is the acting and chemistry between Jack Grazer, if you will, and both his counterparts. Both Billy Batson and, Shazam himself. He has great chemistry with both of them. And it's easy to say that Jack Dylan Grazer is actually the star of this movie. He is the straight up standout to this movie. There's one other, which I'll talk about a little later, that kind of maybe starts to steal the show, if you will, but we're not going to get into that just yet. And we get into this film, and it takes a little while to actually start things up. They start to build the world. They start to let you know that, yes, at least as far as I can tell, this movie is connected to the DCEU proper, more so than Wonder Woman, believe it or not, and Aquaman. There were so many references and, just comments and things like that from this film that tie directly into the actual world proper. And I think they're still sticking with this whole connective tissue. I think they're still going to make some movies that are Elseworld stories, like the Joker film. At least we think that it has no connection, but who knows, considering the next Batman movie is supposed to be possibly in the 90s and the Joker movie is in the 80s, so I don't know, maybe there's a connection there. But this film is so good. I think it's ahead of its time. I think it's the first superhero film to really focus in on today's day and age, how people would react with superheroes. There's a big social media involvement in it, a big YouTube involvement in it as well. Because let's face it, if you had these powers, and if people on the street saw you with these powers, they'd be taking pictures and videos and posting it galore. That's just what today's what we would do in today's day and age. And I love that part of the movie. It made it feel real and authentic without being real and authentic, if you will, like the Dark Knight trilogy, if you will, like that. Just tried to make it so realistic. This is a world that the way we would really be is there, but we live in a world with these superheroes. Both Batman and Superman and Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Flash, I can tell you, exist in this movie. We don't see them, okay, but they do exist in this film, and I could only, by process of elimination, say Cyborg does as well. For better or for worse, guys. I think in the direction that we're heading, that the DCEU looks promising, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying the last two installments as much as I have. So, I don't want to give too much away, but there's been this whole debate on why this should be common knowledge that Black Adam is not the focal point in this film. Black Adam is not in this film. He has nothing to do with this film. We're not talking about anything at the end of the credits. I don't want to spoil any of those. Whether he is or isn't, you'll find out when you see the movie, if he is or isn't. But there was this big debate on why is it, such a focal point on Dr. Sivana, and believe it or not, there's more than what you think you know about this film. There's been something in this film, a couple of somethings in this film, if you will, that have been, I can't believe how secretive it has been. Like how this hasn't, considering how many reviews are out there already, this hasn't been spoiled yet. And I've been when I was watching it, I was in awe and amazement that I didn't know this was in the movie. And it made the movie a lot more sinister than you think. You see this movie and you think it's just going to be this goofy, hokey, really slapstick comedy, and it's not. I mean, yes, that's in there, okay? and this enjoyment of a kid being a superhero is definitely there. But there's definitely some moments where it takes a full advantage of the PG-13, and I would say it's a hard PG-13 in some scenes. So definitely, if you're going to take your kid to see this, and I would say, you know, I've seen this in another review, and I totally agree with it, and I hate when I agree with this lady. And if you've seen that review, you know what I'm about to say. If you would let your kids watch Gremlins, the original Gremlins, then it's okay to let your kids watch this one. You would probably have to have a conversation after the film with them about a couple of things. However, I think it is fine for audiences. You don't ever actually see anything directly, but there are a few kind of dark moments and maybe some questionable things about Saint Nick, if you will, that you may want to have a conversation if if your kids are still kind of too young to see this film. However, overall, this movie's filled with Easter eggs. It's very fun. It's lighthearted. It gets really serious and really emotional in some scenes. And Billy Batson, he's searching for his parents, if you will, throughout a big portion of this film. And there's some really touching scenes between his foster family and, the realization of his reality. And again, I don't want to spoil this, but you'll know the scene I'm talking about. It has to do with a compass, okay? And you will just be like, wow. Like, you're going to start to well up, and you're going to be like, I can't believe a DC movie's making me do this. And if you don't well up, your other alternative to feelings is like, I want to punch someone in the face right now. That's going to be your other reaction to this particular situation. Because I was one way, my wife was the other, and that's the only two ways I can see this particular situation. When you guys see this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Again, it involved the hallway and it involved the compass, and you'll know, okay? And, Mark Strong, he was the best thing about the Green Lantern movie. And I don't care what anyone says, he was amazing as Sinestro. And if they are going to bring Sinestro back to the big screen, I don't care if he was Sinestro and that movie failed. He needs to be Sinestro again. And I don't care if he was Dr. Sivana. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But Mark Strong does a great job here. There's a lot more to him than you realize as well. You get a lot of Easter eggs to some other villains within the Big Cheese's Rogues Gallery, if you will, as well. And that was one of my favorite parts of the film. Overall, it was just really good, really enjoyed the turnaround, that everything doesn't have to be dark, gloom, and gritty. We can have a light and still, lighthearted time. Everything can be bright and colorful, and still, when it's time to get serious, we can get serious. And it's awesome. Now, on to the bad. The bad is little gripes. I don't really have anything bad to say about the film overall. Maybe in the beginning half of the film, it was just a little too much, spending time with the kids when you really just want to get into the whole, superhero thing. And I can see some people, because again, once he becomes a superhero, it's treated how I believe any kid with superpowers would originally treat the situation, trying to learn what they are, figure out what they are, and just kind of do goofy things, maybe try to be a hero, maybe, try to do some naughty things or do, special things to earn money, if you will. Definitely how I think a kid would do it. Maybe they spend a little too much time with that as well. But the only other big gripe I have, that there's some scenes, because Zachary Levi did not, he worked out for the role, don't get me wrong. He is not as big as Shazam needs to be, obviously. He's not even as big as Henry Cavill is. Okay, Henry Cavill fills out his Superman suit a lot better than Zachary Levi. The suit looks fine on film. It's okay. They even poke fun at it. And it's okay with this case of this particular character, because he's known as the Big Cheese. So any goofy parts, you can give it a pass as a comic book fan. I can see maybe some of the traditional normal audience, if you will, they may not like it. They may be put off by it. But us comic book fans are going to be like, well, that's the character. Of course, it makes perfect sense. However, there's a couple of times where Zachary Levi will be bending down, or the camera angle that we're looking at, and you literally can see the difference between the suit and his skin. And I was just like, oh, that's a bad shot. Why is that in there? How did nobody catch that? And it could just be me, because I'm that type of person. I'm not necessarily trying to pick out or tear down a movie, but I am that type of person where I figure out the movie, the plot, the turning points, all kinds of things. I'm really bad at that. I sometimes spoil things for my wife, but I genuinely like it. It's kind of cool. I like to play that, figure out things. So I'm constantly looking not just at what's presented to me, but everything around it as well. And especially in this day and age with Easter eggs and stuff like that, it's just, my mind is adapted to that. So when I saw that, and I hope I don't ruin it for you guys as well, it kind of pulled me out just for a few split seconds. But again, the heart and soul of this film pulls you back in, and that heart and soul is the entire, family, if you will, the whole Foster family. Everybody brings a little bit to the table. The young African American girl, I believe her name may have been Faith Herman, I think her name was. She plays Darla Dudley. She is amazing, and she almost steals the show. Every time she's on screen, she's just the most adorable thing. She's absolutely fantastic. You want a little sister like her. She's just the sweetest thing, and really funny as well. And there's many times where she almost steals the entire movie. Okay, and there's something that happens at the end of the film that you guys are going to see coming, especially if you're in the know, and it's absolutely fantastic. You may jump out of your seat. Now, there is also this whole Henry Cavill Superman thing in the film, and I'm not going to spoil it, guys, but I'm just telling you guys, you're going to be happy no matter what happens in this film. There are end credit scenes. There's 2 of them, so stick around to the end. One, they really do go the Marvel route, and at this point, I don't care. It's perfect. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you were broke, so time to fix it, and this is how you fix it. To be honest with you, there's 2. There's one serious one, there's one goofball one, and it was perfect. I loved every single second of this film. Now, as of right now, there is no audience score for this film, but Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 93%, and Metacritic has it at a 73%. I would give this movie a solid 4.5 stars out of 5. I would give it a 5, but there were a couple of little things that pulled me out just enough to where I was like, oh man, that kind of sucked. Again, the suit thing, I didn't like seeing that. And, there was always room for improvement. And, again, maybe there was just a tad too much lightheartedness for too long. I think you could have still had the amount of lightheartedness, just maybe spread out a little more, not necessarily in these big chunks of the film. That might have been the only other thing that I would have changed in this film. And, overall, guys, I would say go out, see this film, enjoy it while you can. Definitely, if you can, man, I don't know if you guys have ever heard it's called Movie Bar and Grill. It's new in my area. I don't know if your cities have any of them. But definitely check it out. That's a good way to see it, at least for me. Me and the wife, we enjoyed dinner while watching it. It was a fantastic time. I know there's all these dine-in theaters, so definitely do it that way, man. Enjoy it. Get a big tub of popcorn and just love this film for what it is. I could definitely see every 12-year-old out there in the planet watching this movie, and this becoming their favorite freaking movie of all time. Like, that's how good this movie is. I wish I could have seen this as a 12-year-old boy, because I love it as much as I do as a man. As a boy, I know I would have loved it that much more, and it would have been special to me by the time I got to this age. Okay, so guys, that's my review of Captain Marvel, Shazam, if you will. I guess that is the only other... Let me backtrack 1 second, guys. That is my only other beef with the movie, is because of the whole Captain Marvel and Shazam debacle, that he's never fully addressed as to what his name is. He's given all these wonky names, and one of which is an actual Easter egg to Marvel's Captain Marvel, which I find kind of funny. And maybe only comic book fans will realize it, but it's still pretty cool. And they do kind of call him off and on. I think it was the Red Cyclone. Okay, and that just makes me think Red Tornado, so I don't know why we're going that route. But hey, I just wish Marvel would allow them to use the name. I mean, it just... come on, like, let's stop being petty in this day and age. I get it, we're battling companies, but let's come on. Let's bygones be bygones and let them use the name. They had the name first. Or let's call him Captain Thunder or something, because this Shazam nonsense just doesn't make any sense. Realistically, and they didn't address it, and I wish they would, and maybe they'll do it in the sequel, because there's definitely going to be a sequel to this film, that maybe he's like, I have no way to address what my name is, if you will, so I don't know. So that's probably my biggest gripe of the film. But again, it's just comic book nerdom, little gripes, if you will. So guys, again, that's my review of this movie. Go ahead and Hulk smash the hell out of the like button. Smash it like you mean it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that notification bell. Become part of the universe today, guys. That's the only way you'll know whenever we drop a video, guys. And until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.